Hello, welcome to Her Wild Side Hockey Podcast. I am your hostess, Mikki, and as you may notice if you're watching me on video, this is not my normal spot to podcast. I told you all a couple weeks ago that my husband bought a new computer so that I can stop using his computer for everything, like podcasting, but that also means that I have lost the ability to use his office as a podcast studio. So, right now, I'm literally sitting in my bedroom, and I need to figure out a way to like I don't want to use a fake thing, but I would love something so I could display like this that my brother got at the Hockey Lodge sale for me. But also, my husband is not going to want me to redecorate our entire bedroom Minnesota Wild themed. So I am going to be deciding what to do about that during the off season here. Although we're not really getting an off season, not truly. The Stanley Cup finals are still going on, and we're already getting trades and signings like crazy, and shady business, like claiming off of waivers. There's a lot going on right now, and that's okay with me because things are chaotic. Life is chaotic. But I'm here because I have not recorded a podcast in a long time. And I actually did record half of one when I was on vacation. And I just didn't put it up. I erased it. But another thing that I am doing here, and I talked about this in my last podcast a couple weeks ago, which is I am just going to be kind of playing around with the podcast a little bit more. I've been encouraged to try and utilize video more to try and help grow our YouTube channel as another monetization channel. Does that make sense? Those are all English words, and together they should make sense. But so I have been encouraged to just try some new things like showing pictures or videos or clips, like somebody's like a clip of a audio clip. As always, I know I would just say most of you probably listen more than you watch. So I will always strive to, not be exclusively one or the other. I don't want to alienate anyone. But we have a couple things to talk about here. I am going to try and be fancy, and I am going to try and share my screen with you. Let's see how to share the screen. Okay, I'm going to start with something a little more serious, which is, let's see, how do I do this? There we go. Hey, I did it. Okay. And I'm not looking to go after anybody with this, but I did think it was an interesting talking point. Okay. So this tweet says, unpopular opinion, but those sports girls accounts and companies are setting us back so far, and they oftentimes end up being very quietly misogynistic and push women into a box and lack intersectionality that we should see in sports spaces. Also including players who are openly violent to women in your girly pop posts is so nasty. Are you not self-aware? It's the reason I'm working in that intersectional safe space because it's truly so tone deaf. Now, I am going to go ahead and I'm going to tell you that I do agree with parts of this. People need to take into account the outside off-ice lives of these players. And if they are disgusting people, remember that, So specifically, they're talking about PKing, right? I know that that's divisive, and I'm not going to get into that right now, but I do agree with, he has shown that he's a nasty piece of work off of the ice. So don't glorify him. But I wanted to dive more into the first part of the message. And I understand what they are saying, and I totally agree that first of all, intersectionality, we need voices from all over. I have always said hockey is for everyone. I firmly believe that. And one of the reasons I started a podcast was because there could never be too many women in hockey. There could never be too many women in hockey journalism, the hockey sphere, the world of hockey, if you will. But I think that women should also not be pushed into sharing stuff about hockey in a way that men consume content. So let me explain. When I think of, and this is where I think you all know what I mean, but, when I think of how was sports presented before, kind of before people have started to dive more in and wanted more women and wanted more diverse voices within it, it very dry. Sports reporting for a long time just seemed super dry. It's just the facts, Jack. And, people were totally okay with their hockey players just not sharing much. And not that they have to share, but, there is a way to connect with sports that is more in a human way. And when I say that, I am meaning, that I do plenty of content that is, I write about stuff like, if the Wild went to Disney World for vacation, what would they do? Or, I love when people match up hockey players with squishy plushy toys or something. It's silly. It is silly, but at the same time, it does connect with people. And I don't think we need to leave the cutesy wootsy stuff behind to be taken seriously, because I always say that I can do both. I can sit here and I can talk with you about hockey. I can talk sports. I can talk players. I try and research widely so that I can do that. But I very much enjoy more diving into the off-ice personalities, events around the league. I would rather talk about that. That is more interesting to me. At one point, my husband, back when we were just dating, he always said that I should have been an anthropologist, because to me, people are interesting. Cultures are interesting. And I want to see that. I'm not watching hockey necessarily to be like, wow, that power play, whew, they've got it down. I'm watching and I'm looking for other things. Someone once deemed me the beat writer for off-ice hockey stuff, and I really like that. So what I'm saying here, to try and bring this back around to my point, is just, I think it is completely correct that we should not be pushing women into a box. I think it's completely correct that we need to make sure that we are not, specifically white women like me, are not adding to the misogyny. And that is so prevalent in hockey. I think we need to be aware, and we need to make sure that we are pushing back. And it's okay if you like hockey because you think a player's cute. And it's okay if you found hockey because you read a hockey romance book and it looked interesting. It's okay to find hockey in all of these ways and enjoy hockey in all of these ways. And there is nothing wrong with it. And there is nothing that says it's the wrong way to enjoy things. All right. Now, I'm going to get fancy again, and I am going to share my screen again. Like, look at me go, folks. And I guess while I'm, figuring this out, I already kind of touched on where the podcast is heading. Because there are a lot of things that I want to do with the pod, and that I want to talk about and go and do. And this summer, during the weird off season we're having kind of already, I am planning to put some work in. So, things might be a little rough which is why I'm in my bedroom with a blurry background, because you don't need to see all my junk. And I hope to just keep improving. So, but excitingly enough, we did today get the preseason schedule for the Wild. What I hate about preseason is we have to play teams that we hate. The Jets, again, there are plenty of good Jets fans and, you know, plenty of good players, but it's just this weird coincidence that Wild players always seem to get hurt in games against Winnipeg. And so having to play them twice in the preseason is just very, like, daunting. Thankfully, they're part of the front half, so maybe that'll just be a lot more like of the rookies and prospects. Dallas, you know what? We've got a great rivalry going, folks. The Wild live rent-free in the heads of many Dallas fans. And so it will be interesting, but it's always just hard. And then we've got the Chicago team. And you know what? If you don't know why they're problematic, I'm not. Do your own research. So here I am back. Look at me doing all this fancy stuff. This preseason schedule, though, it is exciting to get the schedule, but it's very weird that we are not even done with the Stanley Cup finals, and we are already talking about the preseason schedule. Like, just very strange. It's exciting, but I also know that people like are thinking that this is a very long, way too long hockey season. This has been a little rambly. I'm going to quick throw on my ESPN little ad read video to give myself a minute. And then when I come back, we are going to talk Stanley Cup finals. We are going to talk any trades that might be brewing with the Wild. And we are going to talk about, yeah, that stuff. So I will be right back.
Thank you for watching the show. If you enjoy our podcast and want to support the show, consider signing up for ESPN Plus via our link at insidetherink.com/ESPN or scan the QR code on your screen now. I have ESPN Plus, and I personally love all the college sports, UFC, MLB, and NHL games all across ESPN platforms. Over 1,000 out-of-market NHL games are on ESPN Plus every year. Make sure you hit the QR code or go to insidetherink.com/ESPN to make sure you don't miss out on any of this year's NHL action. And if that wasn't enough for you, ESPN Plus is currently offering a bundle of ESPN Plus, Disney Plus, and Hulu for $14.99 a month. You get sports, the kids get Disney, and Hulu is the added bonus. It's the perfect bundle. I personally have it, and I don't know what you would do without it.
Welcome back. So first, we're going to talk Stanley Cup finals. You know what? Everyone has been discussing it. I'm not really going to get into it too deeply because here's the thing. I don't have any skin in the game. I am rooting for both teams. You know, I just want everyone to have fun. I would love if the Panthers won just because I know they have worked so hard and they worked super hard last year. And they're a very physical team and they're very fun to watch. I would also love for the Oilers to win because McDavid absolutely deserves to win the cup. So I am undecided. But there is one thing that I am going to need to rant about. And that is playoff beards. I get the idea. I understand the idea. It's the same thing where, you know, high school hockey team goes to state and they all bleach their hair. I get it. But can we have maybe in the offseason or, you know, during training camp, can someone please come and show these men how to like trim their beard or like take care of it. I mean, or now I don't know who this is that I'm going to share a picture here. I'm going to be honest. I don't know who it is. And I didn't look it up, probably because I'm not really like, I don't know. I'm not really making fun of him, but what I'm making fun of, I don't know if you can see on the screen, they're all growing beard, like Amish beards. And it's just very strange because the Panthers shared 4 pictures. And yes, one of them was Matthew Tkachuk, so I know him for sure. But all 4 just either look, I mean, it's like Amish. It's like they went and picked up a bunch of Amish guys and decided to bring them on the plane. It's just very discomforting. I don't know. It's not bad. You know, it's not bad, but I just feel like they need a little help. Okay, that's the last time I'm going to share my screen this time, but I can stop being fancy for now. The last thing that I am going to talk about is just potential trades with the Minnesota Wild. It has been absolutely crazy that on a random Wednesday, all of a sudden, like all of the GMs woke up and they were like, you know what? This is a day to trade. This is a day to trade. This is a day to sign. This is a day to pick off waivers. Like, yes. And I don't, like, why is it so crazy this far? I am not sure. So far, the Wild have done nothing. And in a way, that's good. There isn't a lot they can do anyway because salary cap hell. But, you know, there have been plenty of kind of rumblings of trading Philip Gustafson. And I'm just going to go on the record again and say that I am so against that because we don't actually know what an average year would be for him. People are automatically going to think about how bad he was last season. And you are correct. But you have to remember that even Fleury was bad at points in the year. You know, it wasn't completely the goalie's fault. The goalie should not have to stand on their head to save a game for a team. But we saw those flashes of brilliance and amazing playing the season before that. And I think he still has some of that in him. I really do. I think trading him right now would be such a huge mistake because, you know, I don't think that we can put the entire season into the hands of both the oldest and youngest goalie in the league. I think that's a recipe for disaster. I think that that's putting way too much pressure on both Fleury and Wallstedt because Fleury, he admits that his body is getting old. He definitely needs more time to like stretch and more time to recover from things. And so he's going to have that pressure on him, though, because he is such an amazing goaltender and he's had such a good career. He's probably going to pressure himself to try and play through things potentially. At the same time, you've got Wallstedt, who has played, remember, we're pretending the first one did not happen, who has played a few games in the National Hockey League. And he doesn't need all the pressure of having to pick up the slack when he's still so young. Honestly, Wallstedt is still on his ELC. He does not make that much. It would be pretty easy to bring him up, not for the entire season, but just at points throughout the season and ride 3 goaltenders. I think that's really the best of both worlds. And I think maybe if we lessen the workload that Gustafson has, perhaps that could actually help him. I don't know. I think it's stupid. Like, don't. And then the other one people are talking about is Marco Rossi. Again, I think this would be a mistake. You know, Rossi, he wasn't quite as good as people thought he was going to be. At the same time, I think he is getting there. I saw someone on Twitter saying that I think what we've seen so far is kind of Rossi's floor. So he's got potential still that we can see. We have seen his floor, and his floor is not bad. So if we can really get him to, tap into his potential, I think we're gonna see even better success. And I also saw someone talking about perhaps he should play wing. And I thought that was actually a really interesting point because, when I think of like, who are they going to toss out there for a face-off? I don't immediately think of him as a center. I'm not a hockey coach. But, I think of like Ek. They're going to throw Ek out there. They're going to throw Gaudreau out there. They're going to throw Hartman out there. And Rossi, to me, is just not, I don't know. I feel like maybe he's not center material. And perhaps they'll try that. I feel like if there were a few times he played wing this past season. We've got plenty of players going to free agency, both restricted and unrestricted. So I am just curious about who is going to be coming back. Obviously, both of the Deweys were traded away, and I know a lot of us would love to see them back. I also know that Mason Shaw is on an expiring contract, and from what I have heard just in my research, there hasn't really been any talks to bring him back, which, let me just say, that breaks my heart. It breaks my heart. Wild fans have been through so much with Mason Shaw. And I just think he needs to be signed here. Again, like as I'm sitting here, even just talking about him, I'm thinking again of when he tore his ACL during the game. Against Vegas, I'm pretty sure. And just watching that. And I know I wasn't the only one that saw it happen and immediately knew. It's like you knew in your gut what happened. And I will admit, I cried. He has just worked so hard. I cried. So to see him potentially leaving this offseason is really a hard thought. But, here's the thing. Let Billy G cook. He has done things in the past couple of seasons I never would have dreamed of. And for the most part, he is able to pull it off. I think he's super impulsive, and I think that in a way that's good. He does not second guess himself. If he has an idea and he's pretty sure it will work, he goes for it. And I have to admit that I admire that, because that is not me. But, I'm sure that they've got plans A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, P ready to go. So we'll just see. Until then, I will be here with hopefully a more scheduled podcast, because I want you to rely on me. Okay, this is enough of a ramble. Hopefully next time you see me, I will have somewhat more of a background or something, or I will have figured something out. We will see. But anyway, remember, I love you all. I'm here for you. Hockey is for everyone. And I absolutely welcome anyone who wants to be a hockey fan to be a hockey fan. So until next time, I will see you all later. Maybe I will. Oh, you know what, guys? I'm gonna tell you a secret right now. I was over here moving this mouse around and trying to, go end the recording. I don't have it hooked up to my computer. That's how my life is going. Anyway, just a nice little bit for you at the end here. Love you all.